You are now listening to the Perceptive Readers podcast. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this Perceptive Readers. The subjects that we're going to talk about have to do with a term that you may not have heard before or what it means. We're going to talk about two of them. One of them is called a champion. Another one is called Whooping Boy. If you ever read any of Mark Twain novels, and I'm talking specifically The Prince and the Pauper, he actually used a whipping boy as one of the characters in his book to be alongside Prince Edward. You see, one of his historical fictions, so to speak. Well, anyway, to understand the importance or even lack of, maybe the way you may view it, of the two, of the champion or the whipping boy, I want to go into detail about it. But first, let me just use an example that will help you to really see the picture. Over the years, persons have heard of The Matrix, even the movie The Matrix, even the books that have been written on them and documentary. And the key factor in there is that a person who is either in this little egg-like contraction, hooked into all these wires and everything, is really motionless, you see, but he is inside this system where his mind travels and everything and takes on all these other different animes or emojis or what they call them, because I don't even use them, but avatars, something that still represents his body, you see. And the thing about it is they were oblivious or being in what they call the Matrix. All right. So in order to understand this, or to give you that example, you can see it's something being in place of someone else. It's something representing someone else. All right. And so, like I said, I mentioned avatar as one term for it. Now, with that being said, again, let's get back on what a champion was. See, a champion would be someone maybe like a knight, or someone who, we're going to stand up for another person, and, could be royalty or even people. That champion oftentimes would be what they would say, this is the best that we have. This is the skilled person. This person has the ability to do this or to do that. And so they will be given that name, champion for this individual or representing the people. And a lot of great honor went on, was for it too. Not only before the match at times or whatever they had to go and defeat and conquer, they would have sometimes gifts in a variety of ways, the people's appreciation or that royalty that they were going to represent would be given to show their gratitude. Or sometimes what they would do for the champion say, hey, you don't have this yet, but if you go and you defeat, you see, this opponent, this enemy or what have you, then we will give you all of this. And it involved a lot, from money to, once again, if a person wanted to start a family or something, royalty, marriage, whatever. All those things would go to the champion. Okay. Now, what is a whipping boy? Well, if you once again read The Prince and the Pauper, you would see that the whipping boy was also assigned to a prince as he was growing up. And the prince had to learn his lessons too, you see. He had to, make good grades and things of that nature. Now, what happens today, or you've probably seen it yourself, or even as a parent, when a child disobeys? You see, there's a variety of ways of disciplining the child, depending on just how out of line the child got. It could be from a time of having, time out in the corner and say, look, you got to sit there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or, to get yourself together. Or if the child just outright, became belligerent and violent towards, another student or somebody, then, sometimes as that scripture goes from the good book, you spare the rod, but you spoil the child. So sometimes, even a little spanking is in order. Not abuse, not heavy-handedness, but sometimes, parents have used spanking, you see, to impress upon them. Keep your hands to yourself. Do not touch anybody else like that. Do not hit anybody else like that. Or what you're doing to them is going to return back on you. Okay, that type of punishment. So the whipping boy, let's get to that again. I described what people or princes and royalty had, and that they had to learn the same thing that everybody else had to learn. But the difference is when it came to discipline, instructions of that level, if the prince made bad grades and what the discipline was, okay, you need to go over there in that corner and be there all day or what have you. Where instead of the prince actually having the punishment placed upon him, a person called the whipping boy would be in his place. So he would have to be placed in that corner. Same thing if the prince got belligerent and was upset, hit somebody, whatever. Now, where the proper amount of discipline, so to speak, would be, look, okay, we got to teach you to keep your hands to yourself. We're going to spank you, No, that would not happen to the royalty. That would not happen to the prince. It would be the whipping boy who didn't do anything at all would just have to go and take the whipping or the punishment. Now, isn't that something? In both cases, where we talk about the champion and then we talk about a whipping boy, you see, notice the rewards depending on what position or role they were in. They were doing the same thing. It's just that in one case, one was held in more higher regard, and you see, and got all the kudos and things of that nature for what they were doing for that royalty they represented or the people, while the other one suffered all the heartache and pain of the royalty of the people with very little compensation for it. Some people would say, well, at least they got to have a roof over their heads and at least they learned some of the same things. But, again, depending on who the administrators were, for the prince and things of that nature, that household, and even the teachers, some whipping boys, if anything, the abuse was just maybe another whack or away, you see. So anyway, with that being said, it's good to know terms like that. Remember, we talked about the Matrix and how things and people do avatars. And here is my question to you. And I'm not going to speak anymore after this. We talked about the Matrix. We talk about a champion. We talk about a whipping boy. Do you know of any societies or structures that use the same type of methods today that maybe people in general don't even know about. Hi, I'm James Lynch. Thank you for being on this Perceptive Readers podcast. And until next time, you have a wonderful, wonderful day. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.